Jennifer from Yellow Brick Road Farm. We are here for session 4 of edible gardening for kids and parents and families, anyone who wants to join in on game. I just want you to know that I am no expert, but I am game to talk about all things garden, all things farm, which I love. We're standing in front of our pond here today, and we're going to be talking about the ducks and what they bring to the farm. We're going to be talking about tomato plants today. We're going to separate out those tomato plants, and I want to know how your slice made out, your slice of tomato you planted from the other session. So, and we're going to talk about mulching and journaling and what a perfect garden looks like, okay? I'll give you a hint, there's no such thing. Anyway, it's Jennifer from Yellow Brick Road Farm. If you're just tuning in, we are on session 4 of edible gardening for kids, families, anyone else who wants to join in. And right now we're in front of our pond, and my dog, my Daisy, our golden retriever, is able to reach the pond on her run. So needless to say, I will be covered in mud by the end of the day. So, but that's okay. The pond does lots of other things for the farm besides the obvious benefits of providing a habitat for the ducks. So I'm going to get Luke to walk over here with me, and we're going to go by a small rabbit hutch that we have here. And there is Fred. Fred is a Welsh Harlequin duck. And over here, move that shovel. There we go. Yeah. So these ducks bring a lot to the farm, not just in the fact that they're very, very super cute and very fun, but they also bring the fact that they clean the pond, they keep it full of good flora and fauna, they keep the water circulating, which means that it is keeps it from getting stagnant, and when water goes stagnant, it goes bad. Okay, bacteria starts to grow, flies love that, mosquitoes love that, so it's a breeding ground for mosquitoes, which no one really that I know likes. Anyway, and the ducks seem to keep the mosquito population down as well. So you can see that they're eating down around the green parts, and they're look, are you zooming in a little bit there? Yeah, perfect. And you can see they're eating around the green parts, and they're trying to keep all of the vegetation healthy, and they're also getting some nutrients for themselves in there. So these ducks are Welsh Harlequins, and they are dual purpose ducks. So they're used for eggs and meat. So we use them mostly for eggs. So duck eggs are wonderful to bake with. And actually, a lot of people that are allergic to chicken eggs are not allergic to duck eggs. And it's something in the white part of the egg that sort of causes it's scientific. So anyway, I don't claim to know all about it, but I do know that is very, very true for lots of people that have chicken egg allergies. They actually can eat duck eggs. So again, there's our Welsh Harlequins. So the reason why I want to keep healthy plants in the pond is because if I keep healthy plants in the pond, it brings in all kinds of animals from the air as well to land in the pond. They stop, they get all kinds of nutrients from the pond, they stop and get water from the pond, and then they carry on and they go on to other places. But a lot of places that they stop is also in my garden. So that brings in what's called pollinators, and we want to have lots of pollinators in our garden. So we're going to talk about pollinators today and bees and the benefits of having flowers and ponds. It's nice to have a water source in your garden. So even if you can just have like a small bird bath in your garden, that would be really fun actually. And it adds some interest to your garden. So you want your garden to be fun. You don't want to make it a chore. And you don't want it to look just sort of like, oh, it's just food and so serious, okay? So anyway, we want to talk about that as well today and talk about perfect gardens and what they look like. Okay, you won't find one here, I'll tell you that. So these are our Welsh Harlequins. Again, it's Jennifer from Yellow Brick Road Farm. We're here today. We're going to talk pollinators. We're looking at our ducks because our ducks are in our pond, which brings in all kinds of animals into our habitat and into a wildlife habitat. So I try to keep it as natural as possible. I don't over landscape it. I don't stick it all full of natural plants. I try to keep the plants as natural as possible, simply because I really want it to be a habitat for animals to stop and pollinate our vegetables when they're growing, but also to keep our land healthy, because all of these insects and all of these animals have a purpose. And even though we can't necessarily see it, it is all there in a nice big circle. So this is Fred. The one with the blue is Daphne, and the other one is Velma. So kiddos out there, I know. What's wrong?
It keeps on switching.
Oh. The kiddos out there, I know that you'll know those names, Fred, Velma, and Daphne from Scooby-Doo. If you don't, I don't know if you're a kid or not. Anyway, if you don't know Velma, Daphne, and Scooby-Doo, I know my kids loved that. So anyway, yeah, we're going to go over into the garden. Now, we're going to go over into the garden, and we are going to talk about some things today with the garden. With tomato plants, and I know that your slice of tomato the other day probably grew, because I know mine did. So I wanted to talk to you about that and talk to you about what's going on in the garden today. So this is a big old garden door, and you know what? This isn't perfect, this garden door. Okay, and I really want a beautiful antique garden door, but I can't always have that right away, and especially not now during quarantine, okay? So basically what I'm trying to say is that your garden doesn't have to look perfect to be perfect. That garden door does absolutely nothing but bring me joy. It serves a purpose, okay? It's a palette. It's a repurposed palette. It's nothing fantastic. It's held on with baling twine right now. But I'm going to keep my eye out for a beautiful garden gate so that I can add that to the garden. And that will make me very happy. And but it's not going to help anything grow. Okay, but it is going to make it a space for me. So I wanted to mention today about perfect gardens. So basically, there's no such thing as a perfect garden. There are gardens that people put a lot of time and effort into, and those are wonderful, and I think that that's what we all want to aspire to, but it has to be for us. So I get a lot of messages about people who are scared to fail with their garden. Okay, so it's Jennifer from Yellow Brick Road Farm. We're talking gardening and edible gardening for kids today, and I just want to let you know that I get a lot of messages about people with their gardens and they're scared to fail, they're scared to try things. I'm going to let you know that I have already failed already with my garden this year. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. But good gardeners fail about 20%. Okay? So good gardeners fail about 20%. And the reason why they fail about 20% is because they try things. They try new things. They try different things. Okay? And you learn. So that is one of those it doesn't have to be perfect to be perfect. Okay? This garden's going to be for you. Okay? And as long as it's the very best garden that you want and you design, you can do it any way you want. Okay? This is, I have these visions that I'm going to have a nice wood chip walkway here, and it's going to come through, and these poles right here, okay, these poles right here are going to hold a great big cattle panel, and the great big cattle panel is going to come up, and there's going to be beans, and I'm going to have nasturtiums, and I'm going to have climbing sweet peas all over this. And this is kind of going to be like a little tent, okay? And it's kind of going to be a tent of vines and things that grow up, and I'm really excited about that. But that's for me. Like, that's something that I want, and I want to aspire to. But if I only had 3, we're going to look down here. If I only had 3 raised beds like I have here, and the dog rolled in one because I let him in and I shouldn't have. So if we have 3 raised beds right here. Okay, and when I say raised beds, they don't have a formal border, but they just have like, you know, sort of an edging. We have some rows here. Okay, so even if I just had that, I'd be happy. Okay, so, you know, but I'm trying to, like, you know, every year just make it a little bit better and a little bit better. So I'm going to get you to come over here. We've got some things happening. So I've opened up the top to the cold frame today, and you can see that I'm getting a second set of leaves on this lettuce here. That's what I want to see. I thinned out, and how we thin out is that we take this, okay, and we just haul it out. And I'm lucky that I've got chickens that will eat that. But you know, you don't have to. But you want to make sure that your plants have enough space. And I know that may seem like a waste, but really, it's not. It's just going to ensure that actually what you did grows well. So that actually becomes less of a waste. Okay. So chives are all in. So I have some chives here. Okay. Now those were a gift. Okay, and those were a gift from my mom. She had a huge chive patch, and she separated them out. So that is actually, I think, one of the best things that you can do for your garden. So one of the best things you can do for your garden is to ask other gardeners or ask other people who have things in their garden if you can have a piece of theirs. Okay, so that's what's called free plants. Okay, excuse me. So you want to have free plants. You want to have all kinds of plants that you know, have a story behind them too, okay? You just don't want to always have, like, you know, same old plants, blah, blah, blah. All right, you want to be able to have some really fun things. So I bet if you ask your grandparents, or you ask, like, adults that you know that are a little older, or adults that you know that are really, you know, have really nice gardens, I bet if you ask them if you could share in some of their gardens, you know, in their plants, okay? And you can do this with social distancing, okay? I hate even having to say that word, even though it keeps us all healthy. I just know that it's, you know, it's not ideal, guys, and I know that, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I just want you to hang in there, stick to the garden, plant your feet in the earth, listen to the birds, listen to the trees rustling, and really ground yourself in your garden. And you know, but you can reach out and ask people, and I bet those people would love to know about your garden journey and to help you along. I bet they would be able to go out and separate all kinds of plants out for you and be able to give you pieces of plants. Okay, I'm 47. I know, old, and not 74 like my kids like to, you know, tease me about. But anyway, I am 47, and my mom still gives me plants, okay? So, and I still go and get, I'm planning to go get a piece of a quince tree that my grandmother has at, you know, that my grandmother had, when she was living at the house in Shelburne that we have. And I'm going to go get a piece of that quince tree. I've got roses from her rose garden all over the farm. And I really love that. I really love knowing that I've got a piece of her here on the farm, and I you know, I really want you to have that as well. So go ask people that you know. Go ask everybody that you know. You know, do you have any plants that you'd like to separate and give me some? Hostas are really, oh, Buddy. Well, since Buddy's there for a close-up, look at him. Isn't he beautiful? Hi, Bud. Hi. So this is Buddy. Buddy's here for a close-up. Yes, aren't you? Yes, you get all that stuck in that wool, don't you? So Buddy is a Cotswold ram. Look at these locks. You know what they use that for? Doll hair. How fun is that, huh? So you can sell that on Etsy, and you can sell that on eBay for doll hair. Yeah. But Buddy's a beautiful ram. He needs a haircut, though. Anyway, so he'll be sheared twice a year, and I use the wool for basically dryer balls, value-added products, things like that. Buddy will get sheared in the spring, and he will also get sheared in the fall. So that's what Cotswolds are used for. They're big sheep, and they're big and healthy. And you can see Willow's in there, and she's actually got a chicken on her back. She loves the chickens, Willow does. You can see she's actually got a chicken in there on her back. And that chicken on the ground, don't worry, there's nothing wrong with that chicken. That chicken is called a naked neck chicken, and his name is Sweetie, and he was dropped off from a family that had lost their whole flock except him. And he's been on our for probably a few years now, and yeah, he always draws a lot of attention. We call him Hey Hey sometimes, from Moana. A lot of people think that he looks like that. So yeah, so I was going to tell you about me failing. Okay, so I want you to look down here, and look down here. So, buddy, so basically, when I failed here, I'll tell you what I did. I put in 2 rows of garlic, and then in behind I put 2 rows of peas. Okay. So what happened was then I went and I was doing some research about companion planting, plants that grow well together. You know how sometimes you get along with people and sometimes you don't? Well, plants are the very, very same way. Sometimes they get along with people, with other plants, sometimes they don't. Okay? I found out that peas actually don't grow very well with garlic. So I have already failed. Okay, but I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm going to do the best I can this year. I'm not going to move it. I've got garlic coming up already right here. I've got garlic. Can you zoom in there? So this is garlic coming here. Okay, I've got 2 huge rows of garlic coming, 2 huge rows of peas coming, and you can see the peas are definitely getting ready to come because that is a pea shell. So they're all coming up. Pea shoot there. Yeah, right here. Here's one. Oh, that looks like there. So we have all the peas coming up. We have the garlic coming up. But like I say, I don't know how the peas will do this year. But that is one of the things that happens with gardening. It's one of the things that happens with yeah, there we go. It's one of the things that happens with the garden. It's one of the things that happens with the farm. Sometimes we try things and it works, and sometimes it doesn't. You remember that Willow had a lamb, and unfortunately the lamb had not made it. So I'm not sure if we'll try again with Willow. I feel like her and Buddy are a good pair right now, and we'll just give them some time. So anyway, they're quite the characters, those 2 are. So, and they'll get ready to go on pasture once it is a little drier and the grass starts growing, well. So right up to their ankles, then we'll put them out on pasture. So, yes, so basically it's Jennifer from Yellow Brick Road Farm. We're talking about perfect gardens today and how there are none. And I really want you to go and ask people that you know, get some free plants, people. Free is always better. Free. So you can ask people, like this mint I could divide up once this mint grows. I showed you that mint last week. That mint that was busting right out of the pot. Okay, so I'll be able to take a piece of this mint and give this to people. Okay, because this is going to like overflow. Yeah, it's busting right out there. Yeah, and this is just going to overflow with mint. So I'll be able to take a piece of this. I'll just cut a little bit out with a trowel, and I'll give that to someone. And we'll give that to someone who needs it or wants it. Okay, so there's the underwear. You remember last week we planted Trevor's underwear? Oh, was it Trevor? Oh, can't tell. Anyway, it was somebody in my house. Haha. My stepson thought that was very, very funny. That I planted my husband's underwear. Anyway, so basically, I think he was just glad it wasn't his. Yeah, so we planted the underwear there, and those are we're gonna see what those look like in 2 months. Okay, I've got the water all hooked up here today because I'm gonna give a nice jolt of water to the garden today because I've got some things planted already. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you, yeah, Daisy just broke out of her chain. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about today was watering. So here we just have a simple garden hose, and I have just put on a sprayer on top of it. So we're just going to give everything that needs it. You can see the ground is actually a little dry right now. We're expecting rain tonight. Last week it rained and rained and rained, so I really didn't get a lot planted that I had hoped to. But this week it's giving 5 nice days besides a little rain tonight. So I'm really excited that we're going to be able to get some things in the ground, get most everything in the ground, and we'll be able to go around. Yeah, there. So we're going to be able to get most things in the ground and get things going. So I am very excited about that. Oh, it's such a kind of one. So guys, we're going to remember those plants? Oh, sorry. Zoom in here, cameraman. There we go. No, that close. So this is a tomato slice that we planted. We planted the tomato slice, and you'll see that, look, and I got lots of people sending me pictures of things that they did. And I think the Adams family, they did some cucumber. They did a cucumber slice so that they could grow some cucumber. So I thought that was really fun too. So you can do lots of different things and get different plants. So the other thing that I have out here is I started my tomato plants around the 2nd week of April. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Around the 2nd week of April, I started this. Inside, they're getting a little leggy. Okay, so just to be honest, I'm going to transplant these. These are going to go back inside though. Tomato plants aren't going to come out until after... until after he's distracted by the dog. The dog has taken off her run, but we will get her back. She doesn't go far. So we have, so you can see I'm taking off these 2 bottom leaves. Okay, some people believe in that, some people don't. I do. I think that it makes for a stronger stalk, and it makes for just a stronger plant, okay? Because it's not focusing on those ones, it's putting it all into like stronger leaves and a stronger stem, because we want to thicken this stem up quite a bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to plant these. These need more room, and they need some more sort of a deeper pot. So we're going to put these into a 3-inch pot, a Jiffy pot, and we're going to get those ready. So those are going to go back in the house. Yeah, that's okay. Those are going to go back in the house until after probably the long weekend in May. It's an early moon this year, guys. So that's the great news, is that it's an early moon this year. So when it's an early moon, what that means is that we're going to be able to plant outside. The last frost is going to be around May 12th. Okay, but I would give it another week or so after that, just to be sure. Okay, but it's going to be an early spring and an early plant this year, so that's kind of fun. Okay, usually we have to wait until like the 2nd week of June, and we may still, you never know with the weather in Nova Scotia. So as much as I love this province dearly, it is kind of, how shall we say this, inconsistent, irregular, let's say, yeah, unreliable in its weather, but that's okay. We're good. We still love our province, especially now. You're going to be hearing about lots of things over the next few days, and we're just going to stay grounded in our garden, everybody, okay? Our garden is our safe place. It's a place where we come to just, just be at one with the earth, get your fingernails dirty, dig in that dirt, ground yourself, take your shoes off, get in the dirt, okay? Like, it is a place where you are safe and where you can do what you need to do in order to take care of yourself and your family, okay? So, and where you need to learn. So get out there, dig in the dirt, and get some stuff going. So these tomato plants. So these are the ones that we started from seed. I'm going to separate those out as well. These are the ones that I started inside a while ago. And I am going to... So,
Daisy's gone.
Yeah, it's okay. I know, Daisy's gone.
She already passed Macy's.
I know, we'll get her. She'll come back. So, we're going to separate these out. And I know this looks like, we might be hurting them, but we're not. We're just going to separate out those 2 roots. And so there, I've got 3 nice looking plants now. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I get... And remember, I'm using sterile soil. And why am I using sterile soil? Oh, he says, the cameraman says, I don't know. So the reason why I'm using sterile soil is because I want to give these the best start that they can. So I'm using that soil that I got. So I'm I am planting these quite far down. I'm going to put some lots and lots. I don't know if every loud car in the world is choosing to drive by this morning at this time. I don't know, but it's quite interesting. We've had quite a number of loud, but I guess we've had an excavator here during our show last week, didn't we, or the week before? There we go. So there we go. So I've planted it and I've gone quite far up. And the reason why I've gone quite far up is because tomato plants grow roots right up their stem. So the further down I go, okay, the better. Some people even do what's called air planting, and that's because the air naturally prunes roots. So if your roots are exposed to air, they won't grow anymore. So I want you to look that up, okay, this week. That's kind of your homework, okay? We're gonna look up about pollinators. I want you to look up about bees, because we're going to talk about what things to plant in your garden to attract bees, and we're going and pollinators, and we're going to talk about stems and roots and what air root pruning is. Okay, so I want you to look that up, air root pruning, because I need to look up more about that too. So we'll do that together. Okay, I want to learn more about that. So remember how I said sometimes I take these two off, these two bottom ones. I do that. Throw them right in the garden or give them to the chickens, and there. So that is one tomato plant, and that stem now is going to thicken right up because it's going to have the space it needs to grow. I'm going to put those back under my grow lights, and I'm going to keep those there. Got the noisiest chickens today. I'm going to keep those there, and I'm going to keep those there until the long weekend in May. Okay, Daisy, come on, girl. Yep. So we've got 2 more plants in this one, so I'll finish doing those later. And I've got a whole tray. I planted, I'm not joking, probably about 50 to 60 tomato plants. Okay, I know that sounds like a lot, but you got to remember, I'm feeding a family of 8 most times, 8 or 9 most times. Okay, because I have a daughter that has a husband and 2 children, and I like to put up some stuff for them as well. I also have other family members that I put stuff up for. So usually I'm feeding around 8 to 9 people, and I like to make sure that I have enough for everybody. So I am planting an enormous amount of tomatoes this year. I really want to make sure that I have enough and that I'm able to get those done. So if I'm going to separate out these ones, and this is the one that we chatted about the other day, let's see what's under here. Look at that tomato. Right? So look at that. Remember that word that we used? What was that called? Gelatinous. That gelatinous membrane has broken down. The seeds have germinated. So we're going to take these apart. That's 2 seeds. That's 2 plants. Look at that. Okay, they're still a little, so they're still little, so I can put a couple in each one and let them grow a little more before I replant them again. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that apart, and I know that looks cruel, but it's not, because I'm going to actually put them back in, and I can put a few back in here. I'm just thinning them out, making them a little separated, and I want to see how these grow, right? These are the ones we got from the grocery store. So the other thing I want to talk about today is pollination and and what role bees play in your garden. So when I have tomato plants, okay, tomato plants have a blossom on them, and the blossom has to have pollination in order to flower. Okay, so that means I need to have some bees. Okay, I need to have some bees that are going to go and what bees do is they pick up pollen, and this is the so non-scientific part of what I'm going to say, okay? Please do not, think I'm any kind of pollination or bee expert. I am not. I simply know how it works in a basic form. So the bees come, they pick up pollen from one, and then they vibrate, and they drop the pollen off to another flower, okay? There, they drop the pollen off to another flower. So we have that. So when they do that, all those flowers are able to grow and fruit, and that is a beautiful thing. So that is, so you want to have lots of things that draw pollinators into your garden. So I am going to plant zinnias. I'm going to plant calendula. I'm going to plant, it's okay, here. There, you can put her on the run. So I'm going to plant zinnias. I'm going to plant calendula. I'm going to plant so many different flowers this year so that it brings all of the so that it brings all of the different things into the garden, all of the different pollinators into the garden, and we gotta have all those different pollinators in the garden in order to attract the bees, attract the wildlife, attract the natural sort of habitat that come in, and we want to do that. So there, now you can close it. Yeah. So Daisy, come here, come here. So this is why the dog does not go in the garden. Because they will step all over the place and step all over the plants, right? Yeah, exactly. So we are going to, tomato plant in the team. So you want to make sure that you get lots of flowers in there. Don't forget to plant flowers, okay? Chrysanthemums, zinnias, calendula. You can do so many different. I'm planting tons of varieties of sweet peas. You'll see I've got so many sweet peas here that I just, and zinnias, and I'm just really excited about those. And these can all be planted now, so I'm really excited about that. They're gonna get going in the garden. And the other thing that I have in here today. So I also have tons of seeds that I've saved from my flowers. So my flowers, I've saved some black-eyed Susan, so I'm going to plant those again this year. Echinacea, and many of you probably maybe have taken something with echinacea for a cold. So echinacea is really, really good to grow, and it can be something that you can save to put in like your teas and things like that. But research more about that because I am no herbalist, I'll tell you right now. Borage, and borage is wonderful for attracting bees, like insane. And this stuff grows and spreads like you wouldn't believe. Chamomile, I make tea out of this. This is a wonderful tea. I make my own chamomile tea. I have the dried things. I have some marigold seeds my mom gave me. Her marigolds were really, really super popular this year. I'm going to plant those. And this was a bee mixture that 4-H had put out. You'll notice my 4-H hat. We are a big 4-H family here. We have, my kids are 4th generation 4-Hers. My grandfather was one of the original founders of the 4-H club in Shelburne, and we founded the club here, not me, myself, but a group of us founded a club here in Barrington in 2014, 2015, and we have enjoyed 4-H for many, many years. 4-H is a youth organization, one of the largest in the world for ages 9 to 21, and it teaches life skills, livestock. It's agriculture based, but there are so many wonderful things that you can learn with 4-H, and we look forward to resuming our activities next year. We've paused them for now due to the state of emergency, but we will get back at it. But I tell you, those skills don't go away. Just because the program has stopped, we are still 4-H strong, and we are still learning all that we can. So 4-H put out some packages in, of bee pollinators. I've planted those every year. I've planted those in amongst my vegetables. So that's kind of what's going on here in the garden. We talked about bees. We talked about those tomato plants and separating those out. We talked about that. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about today is, because it's a beautiful day and we are going to get in the garden today. You guys, I want you to get out there today. Get planting some things. There's so much that you could do today. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, okay, was your garden. So this is my garden plan. And I've taken a photocopy of my garden plan. One stays in the house and one stays out here with my seeds. And I've put it in a plastic sleeve. I'm going to duct tape this piece, because what's going to happen is that I'm going to try to make sure that it, I'm always referring to it to make sure that I know where I'm trying to put things and where I want it to, do that. Sometimes I switch things around. This looks perfect on paper. It will not be perfect when it's planted. I promise you, it's not going to be perfect. Nothing that in the garden can you sometimes plan for. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes, you plan wrong. Sometimes you didn't take something into account. So it doesn't always look like this, perfect like this. But you know what? It's a good vision, and it keeps me focused on what I want it to do and what was my plan for this year. So I've got this. So this leads into what's called journaling. So I keep track of everything that I plant in the garden, and I keep track of it in this. This is my homestead journal. I printed it off from Morning Chores, a site that I found, and it just worked for us. But there's plenty of other sites out there. You can just buy a dollar store journal, and you can journal right like that. Okay, you don't need anything fancy like a binder and papers and dividers and all that. That's just something I, sort of put together because I have to keep track of all the animals as well. So you'll see I have rabbits and chickens and horses and sheep and pigs and ducks and turkeys, and I have all that, where I keep track of everything from what I feed them to breeding to who's on the farm to what shots they've had to what vaccinations they've had. So I keep records of all of our animals on the farm. I also keep records of what we plant and what worked one year and what didn't work, and what this year we're putting in some fruit trees, so that's exciting. So they're not going in. Yeah, here, Luke. Sorry, cameraman. We'll walk right over here. This year we're putting in some fruit trees. We have some fruit trees here. We have the pear trees, 2 pear trees. Yeah, we're live here. Did I mention we're live? It's Jennifer here, live at Yellow Brick Road Farm. We have two pear trees, and we have 2 apple trees, and they're going to be going out by the barn that we're going to be building, and that's going to be happening next week. So I'm very excited. We're coming to the end of farm renos. So I've got a gentleman here who's coming for some peeps. There. I'll tell you about that in a minute. You just hold on. I'm wrapping up our garden session here. Oh dear. So anyway, I'll wrap this up. It's Jennifer from Yellow Brick Road Farm. This week I want you to work on a garden journal. I want you to look up and make some garden markers for, different garden markers for your garden. Okay, I've seen some pictures some people sent me of some beautiful things that they found to mark their garden. They've painted rocks. They've done sticks, and they've done some really awesome, amazing things to make really creative garden markers. I want to see some more of those. I love that. And we are going to get the dog out of the garden right now, and we are going to look after our egg customer. And just wanted to say that I hope you have a great week. I hope you dream about bees and pollination. I hope you keep your feet in the ground. I want you to make sure that you stay grounded in with all the uncertainty in the world. I want you to get your feet in the ground. I want you to hear the birds. I want you to just take a minute, and I want you to make sure that you stay grounded in nature, okay, during all this uncertainty in the world. So all of my peeps out there, I want you to get growing this week. It is going to be a beautiful week for you to get started and get those crops in the garden. It's also going to be a beautiful week for you to start asking people for free plants, okay? So start asking people for free plants. Trust me, they're gonna love it, okay? They are gonna want to give you, any gardener that's worth his salt or worth her salt is going to definitely give you pieces of their garden, because good gardeners share, okay? And that's why you're here with me at Yellow Brick Road Farm, because I'm sharing my knowledge with you, and I really want you to be able to get started on your garden. So, and I want to give you that knowledge. So, again, it's Jennifer from Yellow Brick Road Farm. Remember, you can catch up on YouTube. Sessions 1, 2, and 3, and session 4 will be available shortly after this. All right, everybody, you have a great week, and get out there and get growing.